All right, Worth Unlimited Sales Track Training review. This is recruiting track, and all we're reviewing is the basic portion of it right here. The first step in recruiting is gain interest. We do that with the first 6 lessons of sales track. Then we send videos or webinars, or we do a presentation or invite them to a webinar, and then we set that follow-up appointment. And last week we talked about setting that appointment in stone. And this week we're going to talk about that appointment in itself. And then after you've done that and you get them in, you begin your training and support. Our takeaways from last week were let them know what to expect. I'm going to send you an email with information about Worth Unlimited, the program, the opportunity, and some videos to watch. Depends on who you're speaking with. You can use your replicated site, the Worth Unlimited product videos, real-life demo, the compensation video. You could use John's video. We have so much material that is now available to the agent that you can literally pick and choose what it is that you want to send. Now, in recruiting, one thing that I would suggest, always send something about the compensation. And me personally, I would send them the compensation PDF. It's in your agent portal. Go in, save that as a file, and send that to them so they have something very tangible in their hand in writing. If they have questions about the compensation program, it can also help to educate you on the compensation program as well. Set an appointment for follow-up, give deadlines watching videos, make the appointments within 24 to 48 hours, and that's what we talked about last week. So this week, what we're going to be talking about is recruiting part 7. This is the last part of our recruiting series. We do want to do a piece on handling objections, but really that kind of falls into our sales track as well with Feel, Felt, Found. So I'm going to be organizing what we're going to do for next week and getting some input for some individuals in the field. But we have come to the end of sales track and the end of recruiting track with this presentation this evening. So one thing that we did really hound on at the end of the presentation last week is that when you're going back, after they've watched the videos and they've done all this stuff, don't walk in the door and ask them, so do you have any questions? You always want to start off on a very positive note with your client when you walk back in the door. So the first thing out of your mouth should be, what did you like best about what you saw or what you heard? Now, you can a lot of time with the client right here, okay, in this one question, because anybody that watches the material and does the homework like we advise in the 5 steps to success, which that should probably be next week's presentation just to show you the 5 steps again. Anybody that goes through that process and watches the videos and sees the materials is going to be excited about quite a few things. I know every time I look at the tools and I look at the videos, there's certain things that jump out at me at different times. So get them on a very positive note, because this helps define deeper what's important to them. What is it that they connected with? What was important to them? What resonated with them? I've heard some of the strangest things come out of people. I've heard everything from it being related to their position to, I'm on a crusade or a mission after I watch this. I want to get people out of debt. I want to educate people financially. I want to be an emissary for the program, for what it relates to and what it does for people. If you don't have these conversations with your recruits or your clients, you're really missing the boat in both areas. Somebody that you're talking to about recruiting may become a client. Somebody that you're talking to about being a client may end up recruiting. But here's what I do know. Both of those people know people that you don't. So you should always keep the door open. You should always be wanting to know more about them and trying to see where is their value proposition or multiple value propositions for them. Are they trying to get out of debt and they own a small business? Or do they own a real estate brokerage? Are they doing insurance? Are they a school teacher and they own a home and they own an investment property? All of these things, I've seen so many unusual scenarios. You have to allow your conversation to be organic and directed towards what they connected with and what was important to them. What did they understand? Get them to maybe regurgitate back to you. So if you had to approach somebody and tell them about this program, what would you say to them? And then listen to what they say. Oh, it's an awesome program. You know, it's been helping people get out of debt, and it's very easy to use, and it's got great tools and functionality. This could go anywhere. Always go into what did they connect with, what's important to them, what did they understand about the program, what did they like the best, how much did they pay attention. It's going to tell you this as well. As you're going through this, they may come back with an understanding that's totally off base of what the program is. They may come back and say, oh yeah, it's one of those debt things that helps you just pay down debt. It's a budget. Question them on how much they watched, what videos they watched, you know, how much time did they invest in it? Did they take notes when you come back for that appointment? One thing that I always say when I tell people that I am sending them information is I say, now when you get this information, review it. Please make notes, because I'm going to want to ask you some questions about what you saw and what was important to you. And I'm also going to ask you to answer any questions that you may have after watching those videos. Things. How serious were they about the opportunity? If they're not willing to invest the time to do the homework that you gave them and invest that time in a manner in which they are giving it their undivided attention, then what are they truly going to do for you as an agent? This area right here, remember this, you're not just recruiting people because they have a pulse or they can breathe on a mirror. You want to go through somewhat of an interview process with them. And this, if you ask them things, you know, what was important, what did they like, what did they like best about what they saw, what they heard, what they understood, you're really going to get a picture of how much time they invested. And if they didn't invest any time in the homework and they're just thinking about joining at this point, well, that doesn't speak very highly. If they're thinking about joining and they invested all the time in the homework, they did the steps that you asked them to do. They walked through the doors you asked them to walk through. They watched the videos. They took notes. This is going to set some people apart from other people. Now, there are people that don't take a lot of notes, and they just are really good with their memory, and they can come back. But if you're sending videos to a client, if you're sending them to webinars, ask them to take notes so you have some absolute things that come back from them, because sometimes people may come back to you and go, I don't know. I don't know what I like the best. Well, that could be a cover, or that could be a reality that they saw a lot of things that they like. Have them take notes so that when you sit down with them, you at least have some conversation points. Maybe bring up some things to them. Well, did you know the program did this? If you're not getting a lot of response from, like, yeah, you know, I didn't really see anything that really jumped out. Well, did you notice this feature? Did you notice this feature? This is not only going to remind them if they watch the videos, but it's going to let you know if they didn't, they'll go, oh, well, I didn't know it did that. Or what if they come back with an understanding of the program that's just totally cattywampus? Or what if they come back with an understanding of the company that's just totally cattywampus? This is part of your interview process. This is part of your process. It's going to give you good people that are not just going to call you and always be asking questions, but people that are going to get out there and be motivated and be active and get something done with the program. Answering questions. You know, that's one that can be very difficult. What I want to highlight here is never just wing it, never just make it up, and never just try to talk your way through it. Be honest, be forthright, be open with the people that you're speaking with. That is what we want your representation of our company to be. That is how we want you doing business out there, is to always be honest, always have integrity in everything you do, and always do the best that you can do for the client. So if they ask you a question, you're not really sure of the answer, you can come back with, great question, I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out and let you know. that's a very sincere, very honest response, or that's a great question. Let me double check if it's something that you can, either make an immediate call on, or it's something you can look up right there, or let me double check and get back to you. You don't have to answer everybody's questions right there in that meeting. If you don't have the answer, this is where a good three-way could come in. If you know you're going to be meeting with a prospect and you know who your upline is, it might be a good idea to say, hey, I've got a 5 o'clock appointment with a prospect, and I just want to know, on Thursday or tomorrow or what, give them some lead time. Say, I'm just wondering if you'd be available at 5 o'clock if I need to give you a call, just to kind of put the seal on this client, or maybe answer some questions that the client has that I may not know the answers to. But either way, you have resources at your disposal, so utilize those resources. Your resources can be your upline, it can be people you've met in the company, it can be calling agent support, it can be looking up in the comp plan, it can be going back and reviewing videos, it can be looking at your agent portal. You have so many resources and tools available to you. It's not responsible on your part to try to, the word is to BS your way through something, and we don't want anybody doing that out there. We want you giving accurate information, and if you don't know, be honest enough, just say, I don't know the answer to that question. Write it down in front of the client. Make sure that they see that you are investing the time to get their question answered. That's always going to be very important to your client, that they feel that you're vested in what they're doing and what they are trying to accomplish. This has always been one of the things that we want you to have your deepest amount of focus on, is how are you dealing with that client, and how are you taking advantage of the opportunities that you have put in front of you. I think many of us forget the power of that three-way call. The three-way call, what you're going to be doing is calling your sponsor, your upline, accountability person, or other person in work. This doesn't have to be, the VP of sales. This doesn't have to be the national sales director or an owner. This just has to be somebody with a title that's higher than yours. Or you could just say this is a worth independent agent that really knows this business inside and out. But make that call if you come to a position where you're just not able to move them over the hump to sign up. Or maybe it's, how many people are, well, let me call somebody else, because this can reinforce that issue of connectivity, that we're all working together as a team, that you, the agent there in the field who is just recruiting this new person, has access to someone that can give them all the answers, or has access to getting all the answers on their own. This is a big deal to people that are joining the business. They want to feel like they're integrated, like the business means something to them more than just a paycheck. Most people that get involved in entrepreneurial or direct sales do it for something more than just a paycheck. Now, there are a lot of people that get involved in many different businesses for literally just that paycheck, and I can't say that that is truly a bad motivator, but don't let the money blind you to the fact that you're dealing with individuals. Remember, recruiting is a social activity. People ask me for years, Mac, how did you sell so many over the telephone in the very beginning? How did you maintain those sales through your first few years with the company? And I always I said I did it in 3 words. I had a conversation. We have talked so much, we have discussed so much about the liquid nature, the organic nature of the conversation that you need to have with your client in everything that you're doing, with prospects to recruiting and prospects into buying the product, and prospects that are doing both. This is a people business. That is the business that you're in, is in the people business. You need to be able to have a very organic, very natural conversation with people about this program. I remember there was a lady one time that made a comment. Her name was Jo Lynn, and she made a comment in a big meeting that she went to bed with Max Saunders every night. And people, we were talking about watching videos, and people got a big uproar, and then she realized what she said, and she corrected herself. She says, no, no, no. Remember that DVD that we had? I listened to it every night over and over and over and over and over. It was almost like what I used to go to sleep by. And by doing that, what Jolynn said was when she had the opportunity to talk to somebody about the program, she didn't have to think about what she was going to say. It was all right there. That's why we've been drilling down for the 15-second commercial. Joan giving out the challenge of a 7-word commercial using keywords and motivating words and hotspot words in that 7-second commercial. We talked about using a personal and a borrowed story. We talked about qualifiers and tie downs. We've talked about finding their value proposition and then building your presentation towards their value proposition. People, this is really not that difficult. It just takes repetition. And the best way I can think of you really getting the language down in the program is listen to the Worth Account presentation, listen to John's presentation, listen to a Worth Account demo. Those will give you a lot of the language of the program of when we talk about interest cancellation, when we talk about offsetting the amortization schedule on your mortgage or your other debts. When we talk about it's different than a snowball, it actually pinpoints an individual debt. All of these phraseologies are discussed throughout different videos and information. So if you put this, then you will begin to just learn the information. And let me just type in a note here. I got a question here real quick, and I just want to type a note real quick. All righty. Okay, so let's just keep going on with the lesson. I just had a note came in there, and I wanted to make sure I gave it an answer. If they can't answer the question, they have the ability to get in touch with someone who can. This really encapsulates that power of the three-way call. The connectivity answers are available for anyone, and you can get the information that you need. At the very end of this, I'm going to ask for a little bit of a wrap-up from Darlene, a little bit of a wrap-up from Dr. Jones, so please do stay tuned at the very end of this as well. All right, the follow-up appointment, three-way calls. Here's the most important thing you can do on a three-way call. You ready? Edify, edify, edify. Always, always, always highlight the leader you will be introducing to help with a three-way call. So many times, I mean, this has happened to me more than I care to admit. People call me up and say, hey, Mac, I've got this guy on the phone. He's a realtor. He's down here in Florida. He's over here in Texas. He's in New York. Insurance agent, whatever. He is the next big hitter, man. This guy has got an outrageous database, and he just has a couple questions that he wants to ask you. Could he chat with you? That is not the right way to do it. The way that you want to do that, is to edify the person you're going to introduce them to. So the way that conversation should be is, hey, Eddie, I'm going to get Mac on the phone, and Mac is the National Sales and Training Director. He runs the National Sales Organization, but he's always made himself available to us. And I think that's going to be a good question for him, and I think we should touch base with him. And you make that call. You know, Mac doesn't take every call. Mac's a very busy man. Do the same thing if you're using Joan or Darlene or using anybody in your upline. This is somebody that really knows the business. You know, John Smith, man, this guy knows the business inside and out. He's in my team. We've worked together, and I think he's the guy we should really touch base. Now, we want to make sure that we're very particular with the questions that we're asking him and very respectful of his time. So let's get him on the phone now, and let's see what we can do. Let's see, you know, how this, and many times, just hearing another voice on the phone, many times just hearing somebody else's take on the information is enough to move somebody from sitting on the fence to standing in the field with Worth Unlimited. The number one mistake on three-way calls is the agent highlights the prospect over the leader. Must turn this around and highlight the leader, helping with the three-way call. Anything that you can say positive about that leader. If you don't know anything, get a little brief biography from them so you can say, hey, look, this guy's been in sales for 40 years. He's been with this company for 18 years. He's made more sales than anybody else in the field, blah, 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 whatever that looks like for you and that person. Appointments are great, but not always necessary. I've had people, and I can't agree with this more, I've had people that I've been talking to at a business meeting. They said, well, man, if that's all it takes to sign up, I'll sign up now. Just hearing what you've told me about the program and how inexpensive it is to sign up, yeah, I'll go ahead and join. I'm looking for an ancillary product. I'm looking for something else that I can do with my current business. I'm looking for to bring in and build a team or build another small business. You never know where that can go. Always strike while the iron is hot. And what I mean by that is if they're ready to go, move forward. You don't always have to hit every single step. Hitting every single step ensures you the best possibility of closing. But if you have a high A personality that's watched your videos, read your comp program, and is satisfied, and you go for that second appointment, they say, you know what? You say to them, what did you like best? And they say, I like everything. I want to join. Don't just stop. Just go right there. Say, all right, great. So you're ready to join now? Well, here's your options. Boom. And take them into that 250, the 250 starter package, or take them into a regular sign-up at $149.99, or if we're running a promo or they're a veteran or whatever it is, strike while that iron is hot. Don't delay. Don't dilly-dally around. Get the information done and get it out there. Set up your leader for success. Let the prospect know that the leader is super busy, that you're going to give them a call impromptu to see if they're available. If leader not available, then we'll need to set up a time for a three-way call. If you know you will need a three-way call at the follow-up meeting, then schedule a call with the leader in advance. Always do that. Always give them the ability to be available for you. Give yourself the best chances for success with individuals that you are talking to and that you're getting involved. Call agent support with the prospect on the phone and ask the question. If you can't get somebody on a three-way call, this will show agent prospect how easy it is to contact with support with any questions they may have. This is very important that you're working through this with your new prospect. Touching base with support during business hours so you'll get through. You won't have to leave voicemail or anything. Setting up an appointment in advance. It says here, if you know you're going to need a follow-up meeting. I tell you, if anybody I was meeting with a prospect, if I had a leader that was willing to get on the phone, I would let them know, hey, this is my schedule for next week. I'm meeting with this prospect, this prospect, this prospect, this prospect. This is the time I'm meeting with them. This is what their name is. And I may be calling you for that three-way call. Do you have time available? Which one of these do you or do you not? And try to get a schedule down that gives you the best chance for success in that three-way call and with the client. The follow-up appointment will give them a reminder of any promotions that we're running, the direct-to-director, the monthly promotional, if we're running any specials like we were running with the double points for a couple months there. Always let the people know what's going on inside the company and why it's important. The direct-to-director promo for brand new people you're bringing in, that is huge. That should be to every single person that you bring in as a prospect. That should be something that you talk about with them. Guide them forward to close. Okay, so you've done everything you can do, but even before that three-way or whatever, if you think you have them right there, you can say, our next step would be to go ahead and get you signed up. Okay, so let's say that they say, nah, whatever. You get that three-way call on there, and during that three-way call, they seem to be lit up. You would then go back and say, you ready to join? and they say, yeah, and say, great, our next step would be, or you say, great, get them all signed up, and then you can use this next step after you've actually signed them to say, okay, your next step is going to be your homework, your next step is going to be moving into your 5 steps to success, your next step is going to be, so that should be a phrase that you become very used to using with your prospects. Before you get them signed up, here's the next step. Getting you signed up, joining is easy. Here would be our next step in the process. We go online. We can do this online right here, right now. Once you get them signed up, always give them the next step. Now that you've joined, this is where we need to move. Now, here's something I did want to make sure that I highlighted with everybody. If you have a new prospect that is signing up, I would right there at that point ask them for at least 5 to 10 names. The minute they sign up, I would ask them for 5 to 10 names. And the reason I would do that is so they have somebody to make appointments with, and you can work with them on making those appointments. Leaving a brand new agent swinging in the wind that doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't know how to do this, is not your best advantage. I would do at least one call with them where you're listening in so you can hear what they had to say, or do a call with them to their first person as a 3-way. You want to hear what they're saying and how they're saying it to people, and if they're, have a good understanding of what it is. 60% of people have a hard time closing. It doesn't have to be hard. You just have to follow your prospect. You just have to guide this prospect to the right direction, to what you are trying to accomplish with the right words and the right conversation to get them on page to join the company. Just use your tools. Use the information that you've been trained on and use what will work the best for you. Begin your training and support. Run a personal analysis for them to become a product of the product. Create goals and identify their why. You do not have any idea how important it is to identify somebody's why. That is a big deal because many times that is what motivates somebody to move forward, is their why. What you have to find is what is that soft, squishy part of that person that really lights them up. The first thing you should do is get that personal analysis done with that client. I say get the names initially, but once you have those names, you're started on a name list. That's always your first step, right? Create a name list. With whom do I start? The other thing you should do with them is make sure they run a personal analysis. A lot of times they'll give you, I don't want to do an analysis. I don't have any debt. Ask them some questions. Dig deeper. Do they have a summer home? Are they still paying a mortgage? Some people to this day still do not believe that a mortgage is a debt. They just believe it as an expense. Create that B2B list. Help them articulate their story. When they start to tell you why, help them build their 15-second commercials. Help them build their personal and borrowed stories. Help them with the language of the program. Direct them to videos that will help do that. Pick up the phone and call prospects with them. Get them making phone calls. With today's technology, you can do that remotely state to state. Where you have a third person on the call, bringing them in as a conference. You don't have to tell them that you have somebody else on the call. Your leader will have enough sense to mute the phone, to mute themselves so they can hear the conversation. So you can hear that conversation and be able to critique them and be able to help them. Chet came in and says, what is their why? That's what makes them cry. It's a good way to look at that. The why is simply, why are they doing this business? Why is it important? Why now? Why for them? Why this product? There's a lot of different whys. Plug into corporate and team trainings with your client. Get them all chimed in. And so just some side notes on recruiting that I have here, and then I'm going to turn a little time over to Darlene, and then I'm going to turn a little time over to Joan, and we're going to close it out. Remember, don't judge someone and make the decision for them about joining as an agent. You never know who needs and or wants the extra income or feeling of accomplishment. No means no for now, not for good. Keep people in your name list. Continue to contact them. Follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. We had said many times that we're just going to pound you on the follow-up. This business is done through follow-up. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. In other words, be a person of your word. Don't make promises that you can't keep, and don't make promises that you don't intend to keep. Be consistent and be persistent with your prospects in your follow-up, in your language, in your conversational. And begin training with new agents right away. Get them hooked up with corporate and team training, site, back office, and an 800 number. Make sure you give them the information they need, so if they have a question and they can't get you, then they can get that information through another source. All right. So in summary, finding prospects can be very simple. You have potential clients and agents everywhere, but you do need to talk to them, start the conversation, create a sense of urgency by being a problem solver. Don't make the decision for others. You don't know who needs this program as an agent, client, or both. Allow others to make the decision about whether or not it is right for them. Prospect on purpose and prospect everywhere. I love that particular line, prospect on purpose and prospect everywhere. The only time that I would make a decision for an individual about joining the company is if you absolutely know you cannot work with them. There is just a grate or an irritation or something that is beyond what you can work with. But be very cautious of that, because many times we're irritated by people that exhibit similar personalities to our own. So be sure that you're not just, cutting something in half because you have an uncomfortability with it and misreading that as maybe somebody that might be a good fit that you're deeming would not. Integrate worth into your daily life, have it become a part of who you are. Keep the process simple. That's how you're going to go ahead and do that. Simply guide people through the process. Don't be a secret business owner. Make sure people know what you do. Make sure they know you do something that's entrepreneurial and direct sales, or if this is your main source of income, let them know. Continue doing something daily for your worth business and watch it explode. I will promise you, if you put the effort in every single day to your business, you will make your business explode. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's by Wayne Gretzky. That's one of Joan's favorite quotes. And with that, I am going to jump over to Dr. Joan here real quick and just allow her a few minutes to give us a wrap-up of anything that maybe I didn't touch on or anything that she feels that may be important to her. So, Dr. Joan, do I have you there?
Hey there, Mac. How are you today?
I am doing wonderfully. And can you believe it's already the 11th of March?
No, honestly, I cannot. Time is moving way too fast. Just incredibly fast. Although it's not warm enough yet. I need the warmth.
It's still cold out here too. So it's always a pleasure to have you on the call. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes here, just anything you can think of that maybe I didn't touch on, or just maybe one point you want to drive home to them, and then I'm going to flip over to Darlene and give her the same opportunity, and then we'll close out the call.
Well, as always, I think you did a phenomenal job really reviewing the second appointment or that follow-up appointment. So there's really not much that I would emphasize or say. I guess there's always something. I would emphasize in that first question, when you ask them, what did you like best about what you saw? If they haven't watched the video, if they haven't done their homework, they're just not a good fit yet. Maybe they got busy, maybe they had some things going on, but don't feel the need to continue on with the appointment. If they haven't done their homework, then you're really going to be pushing them and doing more work than them as they are an agent. And it's not your job to do more work than them. So make sure they did watch the homework or their videos. Make sure they did their homework. Make sure that they're investing them time in themselves and in the business. I would also say don't get shy away from asking, what other questions do you have? A lot of people feel like, gosh, they're concerned that if they ask a question and you don't know the answer, you're going to look silly. The reality is there was an article recently that said the best words a salesperson can say are, I don't know. That actually increases the likelihood of building rapport with the person to acknowledge the fact that you don't know an answer. They feel like you're not trying to be the be-all, end-all to everybody. So it's actually okay to say, I don't know. And quite frankly, it's a great opportunity to show them how to get an answer if you are unavailable. So what you're doing is training from the beginning. Do that three-way call over to corporate. Do that call up to your upline. Call to other business affiliates within Worth Unlimited. It's a great opportunity to show people that they may be in business for themselves, but they're not in business by themselves. There's always a way to find an answer. So I like to do that from training from the beginning. In fact, we have an agent in Virginia who purposely says, I don't know the answer to that. Let's call over to corporate to get that answer. And she does that on purpose because she wants to show how personal the people over at the corporate office are. Otherwise, it feels like a big box to them. So it's a great training opportunity from the beginning. The last thing I'm going to say is I remember reading an article years ago that said the average person who declared bankruptcy could have avoided BK if they had an additional $250 a month more in income. I'm going to repeat that because I think that bears repeating. An article that I read several years ago said that the average person who declared bankruptcy could have avoided declaring bankruptcy if they had just an additional $250 more in income every single month. They could have avoided bankruptcy. Guys, we have a solution. We have the answer that a lot of people need. So I really ask of you to please don't make the decision for others. And please also keep in mind that not sharing the opportunity, not sharing the program is making the decision for others. So really get out there and start that conversation that matters because as it says on your screen, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's a no if you don't start that conversation. And you don't know who needs that extra income to avoid that BK or to help their family stay afloat. So please don't make that decision for others and get out there and start that conversation that matters.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Joan. Always a pleasure to have you on. The reason I love bringing Darlene and Dr. Joan on is just because I think they have a little bit different swing. They both have a completely different methodology. If you put the three of us together, all three of us do this business a little bit differently, and I love to have their input. So Dr. Joan, thank you so much for everything you do, and thank you for getting on the call and for your input at the end of the call today.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All righty. Let me go over to Darlene here real quick. Hello, Darlene. How are you doing?
Hey, Mac. I'm well. How are you?
I am doing wonderfully. You know, I know you're probably starting to warm up there now in South Carolina a little bit, but it's probably not as warm as you'd like it.
Oh, it's like 75 degrees this evening. So
there you go.
It's nice. It's really nice. So, hey, I like the South. Remember, I'm from New York.
There you go.
So
hey, anything that maybe I didn't hit or anything that you would like to just kind of rest on that you would like to bring back up to the agents? Remember, this is the end of our recruiting track and our sales track, so we're going to be doing a couple different things. So anything you'd like to leave them with? And Darlene, just again, we thank you for everything you're doing with the meetings and in the field. So everybody, Darlene Preston.
Thanks. And I assume you mentioned the meeting in Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
Matt, speaking about the meeting in Maryland, hey, you know it's going to be in Silver Springs, Maryland?
Yeah.
And you know it's going
I know that you all had were a little tardy getting on the call, but that's okay. And here I'll just show you the slide that I.
Oh no, we know. He was just trying to make a point. Go ahead, Harry. What was
But Matt, did you notice that it was on Prosperity Drive?
Yes, I did.
We're having
I thought it was awesome.
Prosperity.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, you know, you did mention that we were a little late getting on a call. We were actually at a business meeting, and we discussed a lot of things at this business meeting, and we wanted to make sure priorities and all of that and focus was in place. But to continue what you said earlier and what Joan said, don't be a secret agent, guys. Go out there and tell people what's going on. Share with them. And I share the information both to, you know, when I'm first sharing it, I don't know if that person wants to be a client or an agent or both. But I do start off with, like, similar to what I did this evening, real concern with we have real solutions, because that's what they need. They need to have real solutions available, and we want people to focus on the solution. And will 2019 be just a repeat of the past year over again? We don't want it to be. And we want to find out what people, what everybody's motivation is, what your passion is, what your desire is, what your plan is. Is it to prosper? And because it needs to be a must to have that plan, that passion, that desire, and to want to prosper, to keep more money in your pocket. Think about it. More money in your pocket can change everything. And when we talk about this, we want everybody to think about debt. Why do we talk about debt? Debt happens, wealth happens. Both take energy, takes desire, that passion, motivation that we talked about, but action. And so when I think about it, I say, well, how much time do you spend thinking about debt? How many families' plans are put, they actually put on hold because of debt? And have people consider being debt-free and how that feels. Now, you can be the one that explains this to others. You can be the one that needs it. You can be that same person, as long as you're not a secret agent about it. Tell people. So we always like to ask people about, do they hate debt or just dislike it? So what's your passion? Is being in debt-free, being debt-free, which is what we're pushing everybody, right? And accumulating wealth a must in your plan, or is it just a thought? You've received a lot of information over the weeks and months that you've been involved with Worth and its plan. But what is your plan? Do you take all this information and say, this was great information, and then there it just sits? We say you need to do something. Do not have that passion. If you don't have that passion for getting out of debt or helping people get out of debt, you need to have more than just, I just don't like debt. You need to have more. You need to have more of a hatred. And even though people say they may hate it, it's still going to accumulate unless you do something about it. So what you have in your hands can change people's life forever. History shows us when our hatred is strong enough, our actions and our determination becomes a passion and a must. And to me, M-U-S-T, you must do something. You must do the steps necessary to achieve the goals that you want. What are your goals? Are you just going to have great information, or are you going to do something with it? Do you hate being in debt, or do you just dislike it? Hatred requires immediate action with a plan. And that's what we explained with so many of the people that we were talking to, that why we were late today. And the fact was, we actually did get right out the gate, 6 analysis scheduled. And I look at that saying, you know what? We have to make sure people have a passion to be debt-free. We can show people, and all of you on the call know this, 2020 financial forecast. We've used to say that. Imagine the possibilities if you had that. As in most aspects of our life, when it comes to the finances, it is different for each person to look ahead and to see themselves clear with a plan already set for us. The future holds a lot for us as agents, as clients. Hopefully you're on this call, you're both, and you're using the system, a product of the product, as we hear so often. Take control of the situation. Take the information and use it. Keep more of the money that usually goes out to pay off debts and things. Keep more of that money in your pocket. You can now do that because 2019 holds a great deal of information. And in my final half of a minute, let me tell you why I believe that your drive will make a difference for your life. Because the drive is what makes us take action, even to get out of bed. It motivates us. And things, we have to pay attention to what you have talked about, what Joan has shared, what the other leaders have shared with you. Do something with it. So when you think of passion, can you imagine what it would be like to live your life with passion? With passion, you cannot be stopped. No obstacle is too great to overcome. You don't listen. You don't have to listen to those experts who say, you can't do it. It can't be done. I'm putting quotes around experts. Those people that call themselves experts and really don't have anything to show for it. But anyway, you know that you can get it done with passion. You don't just think about it. You don't just believe it, but you do it. With passion, you see the big picture. Anyone who tells you that something is impossible only motivates you. That's what you need to take away from that. The more you hear that it can't be done, you should be motivated even more than you ever have. You do whatever it takes, whatever you need to do it for however long it needs to be done. You are completely focused, driven, and nothing can discourage you or distract you. What is your passion? What gives you the energy to create, the will to persevere, the strength to grow? You'll have passion. Passion, use it. There is something that drives you, something that means to, that makes you care about it, something that you cannot deny. Find your passion and tap into its power and energy. Take the information, use it as power to get you to the next level of your business. You can make a difference in your life, and then you can begin to help others. Mac, this is Harry and Darlene telling you we're excited, and we want to make sure people know it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Harry and Darlene. Thank you for everything you all are doing in the field. Just thank you for being on the call, and you've been around for so long, just like Joan, that you feel like family. So thank you very much, both of you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us on.
All righty. All right, everybody. That about wraps it up for our call this evening. Let me advance down here just a little bit, and I'll get to the last couple slides. I wanted to put up the live meeting slide there. Well, you all have heard it from two of the best in the field that we have ever had, and we absolutely appreciate you being on the call. And I think what's really ringing out there is just get out and start talking to people. You have enough materials, you have enough support, you have enough information, enough people you can go to, enough videos. You have everything you need to be successful with this program. What we need is you out there talking to people. So if you ever have a need to reach me or get in touch with Word Support, there's the email and phone numbers up on the screen. To everyone that participated, thank you this evening so much for joining us, for everyone that was on the call. And this has been the Worth Unlimited Agent Update and Sales Track Training for March 11th, 2019, the follow-up appointment. Let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right. But at the very least, let's do something good right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.